Shake the sillies out. Check them out. Check them out.
Sillies.
The bird fingers. Miyagi it. Okay. Crack your neck. Get loose.
Oh,
you're quadriplegic now. Welcome back to another episode of We Talking About. As always, I'm Zim.
I'm Lee.
And today, Lee, what are we talking about?
This is kind of a general topic.
Sure.
But it's been in my head lately. I've been watching the show Preacher.
All right.
And we're not going to talk about that really, because I've read Preacher and I'm not watching Preacher. I think you've done and are doing neither.
I've read the first volume.
Okay.
But I've not watched it.
That might actually help a little bit then. But I'm in a very unique position, and it's really weird, because usually I'm the one defending when they change something to adapt it for things or whatever the fuck.
Not today, I take it.
But it's really weird. I'm having trouble with it. I want to talk it through. I want to talk it out. Because to put this into context, I've never read anything. I'm functionally illiterate. And I don't care about source material. When I think back to how things used to be, even the Batman animated cartoon, the X-Men animated cartoon, things from my childhood, you can take it and make it different. I'm always the guy there who's like, it doesn't have to be the same thing as it was, who cares, make a new thing, but just like make it good or whatever the fuck. But, so we have, like, for example, Game of Thrones.
Sure.
We have Walking Dead. Mm-hmm. I don't know the original material for either of those, but I like the shows. And even though people always say the book or like the original material was always better, there are people who say like, well, the book's better. That character's not even in it. And I'm like, what? That character that I love? And they're like, the book's better. That character dies in season 1. And I'm like, what?
Like True Blood.
Yeah, there's always
Lafayette.
For example. A great example where I'm never going to read that book, number one. And when I hear about the changes, I'm usually like, well, fuck, like you're just making it better, or you're giving me something good, so I don't care, right? So if things are good, I don't care if they're different, right? Then we have when things are bad, like Transformers. I remember, I loved Transformers as a kid. A lot of people are walking around saying the first movie was okay, and then it just went downhill from there, or something like that. But the first movie was so bad that I've never seen any others of them.
Yeah, so when I've seen most of them, but that first one is
that
brutal.
Accurate? Oh, well.
There's something that like I'll watch. Sometimes I'll just watch high budget movies like to go to bed to, just because I'm like, okay, at least it'll be colorful. Like, not that those are good. They're not good.
Which of them's the best, would you say, though? The first one?
First one is definitely the best of them.
Because that's what I keep hearing, that's why I've never checked out any other ones. Because I'm just like, well, if that was the best. Now, I saw it opening weekend, not like opening night, and I did participate in like a round of applause when like Optimus Prime shows up. But for a lot of the movie, I was just squirming, and like I felt like people like older, 10 years older than me must have felt during the Phantom Menace. Where you're just squirming, like something cool happens, but then you're squirming because there's just like, the canine is urinating and all these weird things, and you're like, like why are you ruining this? Oh god, this could be good. Oh, it's kind of good. Oh no, what's happening now? What's happening now? Why is this character doing this? And there's this whole ride or whatever. But okay, you saying something?
Well, no, I was going to, but continue.
Well, I was going to segue and change everything completely because I'm the Transformers fan, and I think like people felt me, my squirming, but couldn't relate, or they were kind of like, well, that show is just to sell toys, and you're an idiot. The show wasn't even good. Stop it. But then we watched Ninja Turtles together, and I got to be like, how does it feel? Because that shit was horrible.
That was brutal.
People the same way, though, said like the first one was pretty good, and the second one now is bad or whatever. And I'm like, well, based on the first one, I wasn't going to see the second one, and now I'm really not going to see the second one or whatever the fuck.
So my biggest issue with these things is not necessarily that the remake is bad. It's that you're getting a generation of people that think that's what it is. You get people that say, I love X-Men, or I love blah blah, when they only know that. And I'm like, I like, maybe it's my inner hipster anguish.
The hipster mentality is real.
But I'm sure you can agree with this. Like, so say Transformers, something you like, and now people have like all these. Oh yeah, I got the Transformer symbol on my car, and blah blah blah. I love Transformers. Like, it's like, oh yeah, those movies are great. Wait, what do you mean? Like the cartoon? No.
That scene where they destroyed China again or whatever, and you're like, oh no. Well, Transformers is like super unique, and I'll get off on a little tangent.
Yeah, but they all have that in them.
But Transformers and like a handful of other 80s, whatever, early 90s, late 80s things, they like there's a movie from 1986, Transformers, with like Orson Welles and Robert Stack and all these famous, like G.I. Joe has that movie.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna segue into that.
So like when I'm thinking about like how awesome it was, I'm thinking about a bunch of like filler things maybe from the show where I was just a kid and I was sitting through a bunch of like lame like 2 frame per second animations of like shit, but that movie is what like solidifies it. So I'm like, oh shit, Optimus Prime dies, there's a planet that eats planets, and like the like final battle, they go inside of the planet, and I have like posters behind me alluding to some of those things. Like that shit's like, oh, it's fucking awesome or whatever. So like for someone, you're absolutely right. For someone to say like, "Oh, I know what that's all about," you're just like,
it's like when a band has one breakthrough song that's on the radio, and then you see people with that shirt, and they're like, "I love that band," but like none of their other songs are like that, or you go like, "Oh, what else do you like?" And they go, "Oh, I don't know," and they're like, "You just said you love that band." I do. You can't love a band for one song.
Yeah, well, that's the hipster mentality that we go back to all the time. I totally appreciate it because, like, several times, Aeon Flux was like a big one for me, where I was a big fan because I think it's like literally anime, but it's like German or something, so it's not the same quite or whatever. But the art style was so freaky, and it was this future dystopian crazy thing where she dies in every episode. This crazy weird, and there's like swords, and the bullets are little things that just go tink tink tink, and there's little robots and all this. It's crazy, and then they made it into this like mediocre science fiction movie. And so if I say, like interests, Aeon Flux or whatever, everyone just thinks of that.
That's what annoys me.
Like the Charlize Theron movie where there's a weird thing and they do whatever and the grass is sharp, and I'm like, no.
The worst is when things have had many inclinations, like Ninja Turtles. So there's like the Ninja Turtles that like the comic book that I enjoyed as a child.
Okay, way back.
And the cartoon that I enjoyed as a child. And then every 3 years there was a different version of the cartoon. And granted, I watched a lot of them. A lot of them were bad, but I just don't like. You should have to have seen an anthology of everything that everything ever was in order to say you like something, or you love. Just to say the word love.
Yeah, to become a fan and then to not even know that
like if
used
you don't
to
know
be
a
this
band's
other
early
thing or
work, you
whatever the
can't
fuck.
say you love a band.
Yeah, and I understand kids buy T-shirts, but I do feel your pain on that. When something's ruined, because people make the argument, well, they can make a new shitty Transformers and you still have that movie from 1986 on your other shelf and you can pop it in whenever you want. It's not going to change it or whatever. But the problem is when you walk around and say, I like this, and people think of the wrong thing.
People perceive you as an idiot.
Yes, and then you have to go on this crazy rant where you come off like a crazy person and all this fucking shit or whatever.
Which you don't always have the opportunity to do, because like you said, like you
just walk by real quick and everyone's like, what? Yeah.
I'm wearing a Transformer shirt, but I'm wearing one from the 80s, and you're wearing one from 2016, and I'm like, you fuck.
So now I can't wear a Transformers shirt, even though that fucking movie is awesome. So that's like the two possibilities. Something like they make like a new thing that's not part of the original material and it's good, and I'm like okay with that. They make something that's like not the original, because we always say like when it's bad, it's like, okay, you made something that was bad, but it wasn't like you were helpless. It wasn't like you didn't have. And some of these things, like there's that Dragon Ball Z movies, and
Jesus Christ,
another perfect example. You knew that was bad and had nothing to do with it. You don't even watch the actual show.
I've seen the show before school at like 7:30. The Snake Pass Forever was playing every fucking day.
Awesome.
There's like 10 episodes or something in that arc. Maybe there's more, but it felt like the same 10 episodes played every day, and I was just like, bring back Jumanji, the cartoon. Because Jesus, I can't watch the same episodes over and over again. But I know enough about the fucking show, and I had a buddy Pete growing up who loved anime, and he watched like that shit a lot. He watched the fucking Gundams and the bullshit and all that, whatever. Yeah. So like I knew conceptually what's supposed to happen. And it had my boy Texas Battle, and I like him.
Oh yeah, fuck.
He's in it for a minute.
He's like the bully or something?
Yeah, I believe so.
Oh man.
Or he's throwing a party. I forget now. That movie's so bad though. But the main character is shit. It's like, oh yeah, like a white dude. All right. Now that's the only time I think whitewashing really pissed me off, because I'm like, this is so like, because it's not that it's integral to the plot, but it's fucking so Asian. Like, goddamn, stop it. And like, why? And it was just bad.
It's one of those.
It had James Marsters from Buffy. I'm like, all right, it's got people I like. This dude's jumping into franchises.
You read the thing and you were like, okay,
he's all right. Let's do this. And then bad.
but it was as if whoever made it just like skimmed, didn't even read the Wikipedia page, and was like, all right, cool, we got a big monkey, we got this, we got that, and then just made
hair goes up, cool.
Yeah, and they just made whatever movie they wanted to make. That's a whole other thing with the backhanded fan service. But the reason I bring those up is because they're so bad that they make you. It's like hard to even talk about the thing anymore because now this thing has like ruined the legacy of the thing that you're like talking about.
You'll also probably never see a good movie. Like sometimes movies are so bad you'll never see a good movie.
It gets associated with like shittiness. Yeah, because
people are not going to want to see this. Yeah.
But the point I was making before is that it's not like you were helpless. It's not because that show that you're talking about.
Yeah, longest running show in Japan.
There were a lot of filler episodes, but even so, yes, it was so long, and they've like done reduxes of it, and there's arcs and seasons in effect.
I've argued this forever about comic book movies, where I'm like, you have a script. It's called a comic book. Fucking make the movie. Why are you doing bullshit?
And you can adapt it, and you can experiment, and you can do whatever. But if you end up with something that's bad, people should like rightfully say you had some guidelines to go by that you could have just used. Why did you just take this character and that character and shove them into this thing for no reason?
And fundamentally changing characters and just for no reason other than like, oh, I think this would be interesting.
Or
oh
like
no, I'm a connoisseur.
Characters.
I know the comics, and I'm like, you don't know the fucking comics. Sit down. Shut the fuck up.
That's the backhanded fan service thing, which now we are going to talk about because that's the whole thing. Is like, why is Psylocke in this most recent movie? Because and they made her costume look exactly the same, even though no one else's costume.
And who is she again? She's like a famous YouTuber or some bullshit.
She was on G4 or something. Like nerd talky.
Yeah, so I'm like, all right, whatever.
It might have been fine, but it wasn't. And they had her in there and left her in there. She had to audition. She had to do all these things, and the whole script and everything had to be whatever it is, just so they could be like, oh, look at this, look at it. It's like that thing you like. Yeah. Like when Optimus Prime is the fucking like same colors or whatever the fuck, or they make like.
No, and I like that. I like when they make things the true, like it should look like. And Psylocke did look like Psylocke. She shouldn't have been there. It should have been anybody else. But somebody,
But that little wink for the fans right in the middle of this island of like shit, this ocean of shit, this tiny island of like, here you go, fans. Oh, look, April O'Neil's gonna be like, aliens, that's dumb. Like, wink, remember when we were gonna make them aliens and I didn't? Oh, isn't that awesome, guys? High five over here, and you're just like, no, this is killing me, stop it.
Nah, dumb as fuck. But then there's like the flip side where sometimes like, it's different, but it's good. And
exactly.
like Walking Dead, I read like all those comics for like a long ass time.
Okay,
and not that they're like 100% different, but different characters live and die and aren't here and aren't there. They do things in different order of operations. But there was never a moment where I wasn't like, this show is good. Even when they're like, I'm a farmer, I'm like, oh, he's a farmer now. All right, farm.
Look at him farm, so awesome.
That show had me hooked like every episode. I was like, all right, keep doing this. Let's do this. All right.
Now you are a little behind, so the show.
I am behind.
The show's begun to fall off in my opinion.
But I'm sure I'm that kind of guy that I like characters and stuff, and it like shit can fall off pretty hard before I'm like, this is absolute garbage.
Oh, I'm gonna stay with it till the very bitter end, but that's totally besides the point though. About me, Spawn Wild Show. So. Sometimes people make adaptations of things. I was just going to say something, and now I forget what it is with another anime. On the flip side, Death Note.
Sure.
I watched the anime Death Note. I did not read the manga. But you, of all people, the guy that hates anime, ended up dragging me to the movie theater to watch part 2 of a 2-part movie adaptation, live action movie adaptation.
Yeah, it was good.
And I was in there like, I can't wait to see how shitty this is, because that a live action anime movie adaptation of a show, which is like highly regarded, the show is great, but like super highly regarded, but like intricate and deep and complex and all, like a lot of exposition. And like really intense writing in a book scenes and all that shit. I'm like, oh, and these big death god things that look kind of goofy in the anime. I'm like, they're gonna look everything's gonna be so shitty, and it was great.
It was great.
I remember walking out being like, holy shit! That was one of the best adaptations I've ever seen. I picked up the first part of that
at a Comic-Con. I saw a bootleg of it, and I was like, oh, Lee's talked about this Death Note thing, and I'm not big into anime.
And you heard it's gonna play in some local theater or something.
So when I saw the live action, I was like, okay, I can give this a shot, and I'll get the gist of it. It'll be knocked out in like the 2 or whatever hours.
Right. Even if it sucks, it's only gonna be this.
Exactly. Like I tried to watch the anime, but they didn't have it dubbed, and like I'm not about to read shit, so I'm like, fuck that. But no, the concept is good. I like that, and I couldn't tell you if it was anything close to the original, but it was good. Well, and that's all that matters, is you have a plot point, you follow it, and it goes in a direction that's good.
What I can tell you is that not only did it come off good and make sense from memory, maybe it was shitty, but I was just so impressed. But they did the kind of stuff that I'm talking about, where you adapt things. They took something where one character was on the anime, one character was introduced, does something, and then dies or gets arrested. Then another character who was recently introduced does something else, blah blah blah, and then dies. They just made this one character do both things. Yeah. And shit like that totally works, and you understand, and you want to take the cool shit that you remember, anything that you watched when you were a kid. You can give a top 10, top 50, whatever list of cool shit. That's what they should be trying to work into the story. Just make the list of cool shit.
Well, they've made
about
two or three G.I. Joe live action movies now.
I haven't seen them,
The Rock and Channing Tatum.
Yes.
They've
Are they good,
they have
though?
money. They're okay. They're movies. They're probably great. If I was a kid, I'd probably have been like, oh yeah, G.I. Joe. But as an adult, I'm like, I'll watch it because The Rock's cool, whatever. But if they were to take those exact same people, the same budget, and redo that G.I. Joe cartoon movie, Cobra, la 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 la, I'd be like, holy fuck!
I feel so we have to go watch that and do an episode on or something, because I feel I liked that. So I didn't even like the show G.I. Joe.
G.I. Joe's show, no, it wasn't.
Was it not good?
That. It wasn't as good as that. No, not at all.
Well, but the kind of things that I think are good about the G.I. Joe movie are the kind of things that I don't think that you like as much as me. Where the shit's coming alive and
it's great.
Organic technology
it's
and this fucking spores or whatever.
I don't remember once in the cartoon there ever being anything that was remotely not cut and dry normal.
It was just
and
shooting
this,
dumb guns.
It's
or whatever.
you find out Cobra's fucking from snake race of
people.
And
he turns
over
into
here,
a
and
snake.
they do spores and fucking crazy shit.
Yeah, it's fucking satellites and spores, and they do awesome scenes with all the Joes.
Yeah, and you have the new,
I didn't even know who they were.
We have a new rise, new rise up of Joes getting trained.
There's a whole sub storyline.
Sergeant Slaughter's
so they
there.
could make more toys, I guess. But yeah, that whole storyline with the stereotypes, Asian basketball player, other dude, and they're coming up in the ranks or whatever. And
hello, adios, adios, adios.
And that disgraced guy that then has to go with Sergeant Slaughter, and they're eating weird big Flintstone ribs. Better start walking. And then Sergeant Slaughter fights Nemesis Enforcer.
Yes,
and he fucking is that's great.
Sergeant
the whole
Slaughter,
thing's so great.
Such a boss. I was so glad to meet him. Yes. Oh man, he's probably late 60s now. And he had me in the Cobra clutch, and I felt so safe in his arms.
I don't even know what that is. That's great.
I locked Babs up in it once to test it, and it's brutal.
Did you ask him for one, or did he just give it to you?
I was like, oh, could I get a picture? He's like, yeah. I'm like, he goes, you want the Cobra clutch? I'm like, yeah, I want the Cobra clutch.
Like, is that extra? Oh God, can I get that, please?
Oh, it's great. But no, he's in this movie and he's great. You have all these characters that are great, these side stories, and well, first you'd have to pass the blah, and he names all the things that it happens. It's like a good movie. Like you should make it as a fucking movie. Make it as a movie.
But yes, cinematically, he's talking about a voiceover where when someone says well, there's a laser grid, and then there's a 12-inch thick steel, and then while he's saying
and they have to get past 4 of the most well-trained Joes in our base, and as he's saying it, they're doing all of this.
It's a voiceover of him being cocky, not guarding this thing that he's supposed to be looking at a thing or whatever, telling someone else how it's impenetrable, it's the highest security ever.
And that
over a montage of her coming in,
fucking girl throwing all those organic weapons and stuff, and
so
slashing through it, dum 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 dum, the music, everything about that was good. Just put that in theaters.
Well, but so, I don't know why in this crazy modern world where everything can be so crazy was that maybe just never talked about? I've not seen the G.I. Joe movies.
I couldn't imagine why that wouldn't have been,
a go-to?
No one really even knows about that. I talk about a lot of movies, and I brought that up a lot, and a lot of people have no idea what I'm even talking about.
That's one of a handful of things.
But it was released on DVD. It's not like it's something that you can't find.
It's not
I'm
Orphaned
pretty sure
or whatever.
I actually bought it in a store.
I better fucking
I don't think I got a bootleg of it. I think I bought that DVD.
I may go get like a used Blu-ray like right after this, just so I fucking make sure that I have it in my thing. Because that's
so
one
good.
of a handful of movies, and honestly, shit like Rainbow Bright and like My Little Pony had movies in the 80s that were totally dark. I know you're like, what are you talking about? Why would you watch those? I don't know. I think maybe for my sister, but like in the My Little Pony one, there's like he's turning the ponies into weird dragon reptiles to like pull his chariot. Who's he? I don't even know. I just have this weird image in my head of some shit like that.
Do you remember Teddy Ruxpin?
I remember Teddy Ruxpin, but not like a...
So Teddy Ruxpin had a cartoon.
Not a grim movie.
Teddy Ruxpin had a cartoon. It wasn't super grim, but
Okay.
it was super odd and cool that only like the 80s had. Like,
Well, there was something
where, like,
about
the
that,
animations.
yeah.
Like, remember the Hobbit movie, the cartoon
Oh, God,
Hobbit movie?
fuck.
That was drawn so beautifully.
That
creepy.
was a mixed media like live act for those weird battle montages where they would just show real dudes on horses,
so good.
but like silhouetted or whatever.
Or the Ichabod Crane and Mr. Toad movie, like
Yeah.
there's that half and half.
I feel
that animation style, like that hand drawn,
we're just being
like, really crazy.
We're being
awesome
total
stuff.
hipsters, but I feel like kids' things back then were not so much geared. Like they had elements that were like the fucking Care Bears movie had that weird talking book that was all scary, and yeah, animation back then was
Or what was the one with
like
the
moving
rats, the
paintings.
Secrets of Nim?
Secret of Nim is one of my favorites
Yeah,
too.
they
Holy
were
shit!
dark and
But
great.
she's like trying to reach under the thing, and it's like cutting her, and there's blood in
Yeah.
like the water. Oh god, maybe those would not be PG today. I guess.
Well, no,
Is
the
that why?
whole system really changed because there used to be like
There's
nudity
something preventing
in
them from
PG
happening.
movies.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have anything else.
There was no PG-13
There's
if it wasn't
guidance
R.
or no guidance as suggested.
Right.
And yeah.
Well, if it wasn't R, it was just PG, and that
And that
covered
was like
such
what,
a wide
like
thing.
85 or something that shit started.
Shit was old.
It was super late because I remember there's nudity in what was it, Captain Ron and
I feel like Hudson Hawk had some shit you were talking about once, right? Where you were like, "What? This movie's rated what?"
I don't remember it being nudity in Hudson Hawk, but it's possible.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
Hudson Hawk's great.
But what I'm building towards for this entire thing is that the Preacher show,
Yes.
assuming you're done with the nostalgia train,
I'm done.
The Preacher show is not bad, but it's not what's the book stuff,
So it's sideways.
and I don't feel good about it though, and I don't know why. We just talked for like, I don't know, 3 hours about how if it's good, I should like it, even though it's not the same. And the kicker is that I don't even like the graphic novel that much. I give it like a B plus B or whatever.
The idea of Preacher, just like the Word of God,
it has cool
is
shit in it.
so cool.
It has cool shit in it. I must tell you that. It's full of cool shit, but I read all 10 volumes. And I don't know what year it was written in, but it reeks of like edgy 90s, like what if the Pope was a mob boss and gross and this dude likes to fuck meat or something. And like Arseface, the dude with like the fucked up face, shoots himself in the face with a shotgun literally because Kurt Cobain did it and he thought that would be cool if he did it or whatever, him and his friend, but he survives. Like it's like literally mired in this 90s stuff that when you look back on it, because I didn't read it until the Watchmen movie came out, because that's when I bought all my graphic novels, to like, I'm going to catch up and read graphic novels. And even then, like 2007, whatever, when did that movie come out?
In that ballpark?
Yeah. Even then, I was like, this is super dated and like weird and gross and like this is not. So when they said we're going to make a show, I'm like, oh, Jesus, or whatever. But the show is so different. Like the characters are already together, characters you don't meet till later, and characters that die, like when you meet them, are just hanging out. They're all like hanging out. It's like an episode of like animes used to do this omaki theater stuff and weird shit. Like at the end of each DVD, there'd be like a 12-minute cartoon in like a whole different art style where like all the mech pilots and like generals would just be in high school. And like and it'd be this whole like spin on it or whatever. It feels like that. It feels like super different. You're like, what the fuck is happening? Like Cassidy's like at the church, like fixing the air conditioner and like hiding from the sun and being like, no, it's fine, mate. Come on, whatever. And doing his like thing. Like it's so different. It's so different. I don't know what happens in the first issue because that's one of those things that does flashbacks and shit.
Yeah, I can't recall anything of like the vampire dude is shown early on.
He's introduced early,
but I don't think he doesn't know the Preacher at all.
Well, but like shit goes down in like Preacher Town, and then he leaves, and like shit going down when he gets that power, it kills a bunch of people. And it doesn't he's just still at his local church or whatever. Seth Rogen's on the like produced by credits or like written by credits or whatever. So I'm wondering if he might be the coolest dude ever. I just didn't realize because it's like the show is good, but I keep having this weird feeling about it where I don't like it because it's not Preacher. It's this
I have
other
to give it a
thing.
shot.
I guess, right? I don't know.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes.
But it feels weird to be on the other side. I'm still wrestling with it because this is the first time literally this has happened. Because every other time, the like new thing has either been clearly good or clearly shit, and and I've either been super nostalgic or I could give a fuck about Ninja Turtles. So I was like, yeah, make them aliens. I don't give a fuck. What was Splinter? I don't know. Kill him. I don't know. Is he really dead? I don't care. Fuck it. I was like, fine or whatever. And like this is the one thing where I'm both like I liked the source material, but not even that much. And now they're making something radically different. Because now, too, it's going to be like, do you like Preacher? Yeah. What do you mean, though? The show that has nothing to do with the comic basically at all, except that there's a vampire, a sassy broad, and a guy that can command people with the word of God? I don't know. That's a good recipe, though, honestly.
Yeah, of course. Well, that's the whole thing about anything. Like, any good show, for me as a kid especially, was, what is the team? And, like having that, like, you know.
But Jesse has like a new love interest. You'll see all this in the first episode. I'm literally not spoiling anything. Cassidy is fixing the air conditioner in the first episode. It has nothing to do. It's still not fixed. He's like, I had to order a part, and it's just fuck up. He's like, oh, it's great. You're like, what could this be? I don't know.
This is a side note. The first time I heard that Preacher was going to be a TV show, they were showing some other show in like previews of like a land where guns didn't exist or something. Like,
yeah, I know what that is.
Like they were fighting like Asian style. What the hell was that?
That I forget.
Like, Bad Grass or something.
Either Badlands or Outlands or Outbad or something like that.
Outback Steakhouse.
Outback Steakhouse. No, mom, not enough spices, mom. The problem with that is that was being advertised right in the middle of the Talking Dead, I think, that I was watching last season for The Walking Dead, and I actually, because I'm like watching it late or whatever the fuck, I was like, oh, let's see what's going on with that, and it just like failed already or something like that. I'm like, oh fuck, yeah, because they're like struggling. Is Preacher on AMC as well?
I don't know.
Because remember, Kevin Smith during his panel was like, you know, I got a chance to do Comic Book Men because AMC was like, well, we can't air The Walking Dead all year, and we don't want the nerds to forget to watch AMC, so we need something to be happening at all times for the nerds or whatever. So like Talking Dead was actually like saying shit like and coming up next is Comic Book Man, coming up with whatever. So he started, you know, Chris whatever, what's his name, Hardwick, yeah, started actually saying okay, and like Into the Badlands is the name of the show because I just thought of him saying it. He's like, and the premiere episode of Into the Badlands is coming up next, and followed by an encore episode of Comic Book Man. Like he was like.
Okay.
They were pimping it hard, and I think it still failed miserably.
So did it even make it a season or no?
I don't even. I have not gone back. I love goofy shit like that. I was totally into it.
Oh well.
They pulled off his coat, and he had all these like tick marks on his back for all the kills or something like that.
Yeah.
And anything where like gun like because that's the excuse you need. It's like, why are you fighting with swords? Just answer that enough, and then I'll be on board for the rest of like the show. I don't care.
There's so many things in shows where all you need is one sentence, and you could explain my biggest problems away. And they often go, nah, fuck you. And I'm like, you bitch, it costs you nothing. Words. I want your words. A sign could be on the wall. I could read your words. You don't even have to say them. Bitches.
You could do a voiceover or just like text or something like that.
They never do. Does that bug you people? What bugs you about movies? Do you like the 90s? Have you seen the G.I. Joes? Let us know in the comments below.
Yeah. Have any new things ruined anything for you?
Yeah.
You find yourself struggling? Perhaps you're a Game of Thrones reader, and now that we're past the books and things are really going crazy, you're not sure what to believe anymore. You're not sure what to do. Have you stopped watching, waiting for the books to come out?
He'll die before then. But if you want to hear us talk about more things and potentially release the date of J.R.R.R.R.R.R.R. Martin's death, hit that subscribe button, like button, comment, and until next time, don't die in a fire.
That's crazy. See, this is I with shit like this. I don't with her jacking off.